All right, so I think another part we would like to also talk about is like disadvantages. So what were the, you've gone through and you're going through, this particular process. What are some of the disadvantages you say? We are being real now, and or trying to tell people whoever is going through a long distance relationship or is considering going through one.
Yes.
What are some things that they will expect? So what are some disadvantages of long distance relationships? Of course, God, provides a way out and stuff, but it doesn't change the fact that these challenges are there. So, what are some challenges you face or are facing in terms of long distance relationships?
I'm going to the very first one about communication. Communication is big. Everything you can think of in communication, just think about it. Basically, so from the beginning, I will speak more on communication because I had the problem with communication. No, he had the problem,
but she had the issue with me.
I was the victim.
She was the victim of the communication.
So I'm a people person. Everyone that knows me knows that I love communication, and to now think that you're in a long distance relationship, you don't get to see this person every day or even every week.
So
that physical part is gone
already.
The only thing we depend on is online communication. So it was a big deal for me. When we started the relationship, at first it was okay, we'll talk. But I understood that he was a medical student and I knew how busy he could be. But then I don't know how somebody that claims to love me would go days without speaking to me. I just didn't understand it.
And it wasn't as though you don't like this person anymore.
Yes. At that time I didn't really understand it from his aspect because I didn't want to understand. I just why would you not talk to me?
Yeah.
And so I would talk about it to him and then he would say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry is one word he has used a lot because he would just say, I'm sorry. There's no explanation. I'm just sorry. And I'll just, okay, no problem. He'll get better for a few days and then he's back again. But then he ended up explaining to me he was definitely not a communication person before me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just saying that just now. Before now, I'm very okay on my own.
Yes.
Just seeing that in my room.
So that's one thing you learn. Being with someone, things will change.
Yeah.
A lot has to change and you have to be ready to change. Because exactly. If not, you will just be selfish.
Yeah, it will just be selfish.
Yeah.
It is very I got to realize it's very selfish not letting the other person know how you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you can be so worried. It now turned around one time around the time when she had to go for some studies, and I'm wondering how is this person doing now?
Exactly.
So he was not telling you,
exactly.
And so then you could now reason with what she was going through.
Like before this time, I really got the idea that it's very important, but it really hit me that time that there's more to this than just how it did.
I remember.
So I think in your distances, in long distance, situations, I think it's very good to actually be thoughtful and put yourself in that person's situation from time to time. And try to imagine what's this person thinking about, how is this person feeling, what's this person's reaction to seeing me maybe post a picture of, I don't know, classes went well today, and okay, when did you start classes?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
yes, and that happens to me sometimes.
And also don't leave conversations hanging. Very important conversations hanging. It's very important not to leave people hanging, especially in conversations. For example, you're going to somewhere you haven't been before. The person knows you're going to the place you haven't been before. There's worries, especially in the country when there's insecurity and all that. You don't want to have started
telling me where you're going.
And then at the only point, you just stop.
If it's network, that's different.
That's different. And I'm thinking, did they slap you and let your phone? Did they kidnap you?
Oh, okay. Don't need the person worried and thinking, try to finish up.
Yes.
So I think basically it's more about you thinking about the person, because it's easy to be you said something, I'm okay on my own.
Yes, he was very okay on his own.
Be very fine and stuff, but you need to deprive yourself of that, convenience and okay, this person is taking out. I need to give heads up and all that stuff.
And I keep point where
you
get to a point where you're not just going to be on your own anymore. You're going to become one. You have to prepare for that.
Yeah, so and dating is you preparing for that. So cutting is you preparing for that.
Exactly. I remember I've said this too much in in these 5 years, how when I say communicate with me, I'm not saying you must call me and talk to me for 10 hours.
Okay.
There are alternatives. We have phones. You can send me a text.
Okay.
You can send the voice note.
Yeah.
We use Duo. You
Yes,
could
Duo.
do Duo videos
Video
and
messages.
send to me.
Yeah.
And I will watch it and I know that you're fine.
Yeah.
So, but for him, it was more like he will wait for when he has time, and then he will call me. It's waiting that time before you
That's
find that
time
time. It's hard, and I'll keep saying to him, you don't have to wait to call me for long hours before you actually call me. Send me a text. Hi, how you doing? I'm okay. I'm doing this today. I won't be able to talk to you, and I know I'm fine. I'm literally fine. But it took him a while to understand that.
Yeah.
So I think it's that thing of, that thing with us and prayer and communication with God, how they say consistency
Exactly.
is better than, intensity.
Intensity,
Yes.
yes.
So leaving little
Messages.
messages of your presence,
Yes.
track records
Yes.
of your presence will go a long way. Wow. I don't know, maybe it's us guys that find that difficult. Because I think
so.
I think I myself would, when we say phone call, for me it means, or when we say talk, to me it means like we need to sit down, talk, gist. That's how I view like
Yes,
communication.
I view that as well, but at the stage where we were in, I knew that we couldn't have that as much as I wanted. So we had to make alternatives. If we can't have it in a certain way, we can't box ourselves with having
that
to
and say
make alternatives. That's all I was asking for.
Yeah.
Basically.
And it wasn't unreasonable and reasonable.
yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
It was just
I think it's just understanding.
Yeah.
understanding.
We did some during that period.
No,
It-
wow.
I get it. I wasn't lenient to him at all with communication because I told him, I said, it's going to get harder when we get married and you have work. We are going to be in the same situation again. So you tell me you go to work, something happens at work, you can't come back home that day. You won't text me, you won't say anything, and I'm looking, I'm calling, probably you're in theater or something already, and I'm calling, you can't pick my call, and I'm worried, what's going on? We would have these situations. Let's not deceive ourselves.
Sure. I just want to pick something there. So whatever will have prompted his response, because I believe it was a good response, this was work done, means that he also understood that courting is a learning phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he didn't take your correction as a nagging to him. Because there's a tendency to
Yes.
she's complaining that I'm not talking, and it's like, why is she?
She actually did this so much, she started to feel like she was nagging.
Yeah, I did so. I asked him, I was like, I don't know, I feel like you already think I nag a lot about this thing. I'm not nag, this is me just wanting the best.
This is what I mentioned.
And you
that
say,
it's
no,
not
I'm not
unreasonable ask.
You say,
It's
no,
actually
you're not
very
nagging,
reasonable.
you're actually, yeah.
Well,
Then at a point, I stopped doing it too much because I didn't want to feel like I was nagging too much, even though he didn't complain. But I reduced and I was like, I've said enough. Just do what you want to do.
Work on it.
Work on it. If you think it's important, you will work on it. And he did. We've had better communications in the
I
past.
think there's so much lessons from there. That's another lesson on his own.
Yes.
How that sometimes you need to, you've tabled down your complaints and you need to let go.
Just
And
let go.
of course, trust God to
Yes.
also work on this person to get a result.
Yes.
One thing in that I like to bring out is how, so actually what you mentioned, the nagging thing, there's a place for you in either person, either the boy or man. If you're seen as something, you've been told something is wrong with your own side of the story, calm down. It's a problem for the other person, but it was a problem for her.
Yeah.
I had to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this humility you need in this entire thing.
Yeah.
To actually listen and say, okay, maybe I am not right here.
Yeah.
I need to change something here.
Oh, and now I had to do that a lot of
Very
times too,
important.
because I always used to feel like I was the right person a lot of times.
I can imagine.
But one thing I've learned about communication is telling him about how I feel on an issue. Also, while I'm talking, I begin to see where I was wrong. If I didn't talk about it, I wouldn't get to see that I was wrong. I would just, he upset me, he was wrong, and I was able. When we start talking about it, I begin to see that I was wrong in certain places. I might not admit it immediately because I like to feel like I'm right, but I'll later on admit it and I'll work on it.
Yeah.
So it's an avenue for both of us to work on something. Because remember, in communication, it's a two-way thing.
It's two-way.
As much as I want to blame him, there's probably something I also did that
was
is
wrong.
exactly.
there's a therapy in speaking what's
Yes.
in your mind. You know how to do abundance with the heart. That heart has been getting out.
Exactly.
Don't look back.
You don't honestly.
When
Getting
you
full.
once you
start
open your
talking,
mouth,
yeah.
it starts to
There's a
flow
way,
out.
yeah.
You now be looking at the words coming out. Like you're hearing other things that are inside
Mm-hmm.
there. Emotions that you didn't even understand were inside there before. And then you start to untangle that. They even untangle some, they untangle by themselves
Yeah.
as you speak. Communication is so important.
Very important.
Yes. I think another very important thing, from things you guys have said is the fact that in relationships there are two different people coming together.
Yeah.
And this person may be right on his own in his own way. This person is right in his own way, but because there are two different people coming together will mean you having to learn and unlearn,
Yes.
for the sake of that person.
Yeah.
It may not necessarily mean that you are wrong
Yeah.
for your own type of people,
Yeah, exactly.
but for the sake of that person,
Yes.
you may need to have some sort of like acceptance, and just learn for that person.
I saw this. I like images. They explain so much. It's imagine a square cardboard, a cardboard box cut into a circle rather.
Alright.
And I turn it to you like this. You're seeing a circle, but how you're seeing a straight line. You're seeing a
Yeah.
circle, like
Yeah.
different perspectives coming into the
Okay.
entire thing. It's until I talk to you that the thing finally shows
You
you
now
like
see
this.
my own
Yeah.
side.
Understand? I now see your
Own
own side,
perspective.
But you have to
of
be-
this thing.
So what we're talking, you have to be a listener as well too.
Yeah.
Listen
You
to the other
can't.
person.
I love this guy, Jordan Peterson. You shouldn't talk. You shouldn't have a conversation. Never go into a conversation with the standpoint of I have to be right in
Yes,
this.
yes.
Especially in something you want to get right, like this cutting period. What go to listen.
Yeah.
Okay, to
You
the other
do more
person.
listening than you do speaking.
Yeah.
Like you listen to this person. How far? What's going on? I want to know. That's why I keep on asking. What's going on? Like you tell me, I see, okay, this is what's going on. Try to repeat what the person has said to you. So what your issue is with
Recall.
this and that
Yeah.
and that and that. Make sure you're getting the point right.
Understand
Understand
Yes.
the person well. From there on, you can start
Find
to actually
solutions,
work on
yeah.
it properly.
That's very important. And just lay emphasis, we're talking about long distance relationships, and these things will be great lessons even for a normal close distance relationship. But I think, just lay emphasis that even in long distance relationships, like they will carry more weight. There's distance, so communication will be an issue,
Yeah.
and so we should actually strengthen that area. So are there other challenges, like I think communication seems to have been a very major one.
It was a
Yeah,
major.
very
Well, I
major.
don't know. Are there other challenges that you faced? If I may suggest, were there issues of people like okay, so you were part of loving someone, it's physical attraction, right? And you guys were separated for a while. Were there things like people trying to either woo you or one way or the other entice you? And how did you guys,
Do you want to go first?
overcome this?
How about you go?
Okay. So for me, I think I'm a very stubborn person in this aspect. So I'm like, I'm not doing. I'm not doing. So for people who approached me, so I'll just tell them straight up, oh sorry, I'm in a relationship with someone and I'm not intending to end the relationship because of you or anything, because the goal is to get married to this person. So from the get-go, they already know my stand when it comes to relationships. So if they want to be my friends, no, fine. If you don't want to be my friend, bye. So that was it for me. I wasn't hiding.
So you didn't embrace flirting. I don't know. There's a way people do it.
Nope.
Like they try to form like they
Can I-
don't know this is happening.
Zero.
So you were straight out.
And I think it was even a problem for me because sometimes there were people that actually just wanted to be my friends, but I thought they
Yeah.
wanted something more.
And
then I
so
just
that
said,
you
"Anyway."
lost them.
Yeah.
But I mean, you count it an advantage because it's
Yes.
better to be in that situation
Yes.
than
Yes,
for the other.
definitely better. So for me, it was from the get-go. You tried to, because many people would come into my DMs and so there's someone that told me, he's like, and I told him that I had someone and he was like, no, that he's still going to pester me until the person who's in the picture is out of the picture.
Jesus.
And I'm like, okay. that was
that calls for violence.
that was deep.
That
Violence.
was
But that statement just gave me a complete terrible view about that person, and that just irritated me even more. So I blocked him, but unfortunately I got to see him in church. Unfortunately I got to see him in church, but I would avoid him as much as I could. There were times when I couldn't avoid him because we have to go to discipleship class together, and anyways, when he was tired, he just left because he saw that this game is not even. So from the beginning, I wasn't ready to. Like I said, commitment for me is a big deal. If I'm doing something, I don't want any distraction left, right. I don't want. So that wasn't a problem for me. I just tell you straight up, I'm with someone. And that was it. But when it comes to, talk about that.
Sure. Before we come to Martin's part, so I think some things from there was one, you had made up your mind. There was no.
I was
like shallow mind, like I'm unsure. You had made up your mind. So it seemed like you set some barriers, like you had a response to give. Immediately people came. It was like a defense mechanism.
Yes. And I was protecting
stuff.
My heart as well.
And of course, I think you had to endure, because in the case of that guy where there's a tendency for people to persist and then you actually start breaking down.
Yes.
But you had made up your mind and you endured like whatever was to come. Yes. Yeah, I think those are very important. How about you, Martin?
About me, yes, I've had
a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like
carry some. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just complain a bit, please? if you know that someone is in a relationship, it doesn't help to just put yourself in the person's shoes. Like, how would you feel if you had a partner, be it a male or female partner, and someone else was questioning? Like, it's like taking what is yours, quote unquote. So I think, because do you know what saddens my heart is the fact that some Christians do this. You expect that the only people who would make these advances towards people that they know are in relationships are people in the world, unbelievers. But like some Christians actually, someone did that to someone close to me recently, and I was like,
They're trying to shoot their shots. That's what they're doing.
We've been encouraging people to shoot their shots.
I think people also have this mentality that they are not yet married.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I don't think that does not justify your.
Some other people have seen that people who were also Christians who wanted to get married and dated for a while as well didn't end up getting married to that person. So they're convinced that they can exactly.
The fact that they are dating doesn't mean. But I don't think it justifies it. Yes. I think
wait for anything to happen.
Yeah, the concept. Worst case, you can pray your prayer.
Exactly.
Let God break that. But I don't even think that's how it works. And I think if there's this cycle thing, if you can wait for someone to be broken off a relationship, that means someone else can wait for that to happen.
It's very, very possible.
So I think you should, if someone is taking, the person is taking, and then the concept of one person, for me, that if she's not the one, I don't think it works that way. God forbid, imagine that girl that you're saying she's the one for me. Imagine she dies, God forbid. So does that mean there's nobody else for you? So so it's clear that there are other fishes in the river, quote unquote, you get. So go for someone else.
Do you think that I'm the only one for you?
No.
What do you want to say?
I think. Don't worry about it. Let's
just say.
No, I agree with what she's saying.
Yeah.
I agree with what she's saying. That's basically what I was going to kind of say as well. Yeah. Should I start my own?
Yes, please.
So yes, I had my own share of
approaches.
I still get my own share of disturbances.
I know, I didn't used to disturb me.
They disturb me.
I think
some days I've had to just build that. What's the word now? I cannot be angry or be asking him over. I think it's just trust.
Yeah, trust.
Because
wow.
Today he's telling me this person is sending him a note saying, "Oh, call me." This person is. What? He should leave him alone. And it's not like he's not telling them that he's with someone. They just don't want to hear. That's basically. And so I've just learned to, I can't be angry. I can't. If you don't have the mind to tell them that you're with someone and stand on your word, then that's not on me. That's on you.
That's on me. That's on you.
You have the responsibility. You have the responsibility to tell whoever approaches you that you're in a committed relationship. Yeah. So if anything happens, it's on you.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that you're saying that is also helping protect the other person you're in a relationship with. So you have to. and stand your ground, because some people just be persistent.
Yeah. One thing that happens is that how is it going to come on? Another thing that does happen, I don't know if I've told you this before, I think I've mentioned it before, is it's not like you want this to be the first thing you say, like, I'm in a relationship.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It just sounds like
That sounds
awkward.
Like,
Yeah.
even when you say something, they're like, they ask you.
Yeah, that's what
They
you
want
now
to
get
avoid all
to
that.
ask you, yeah.
So sometimes there's a tendency for it to get towards a point, a really dangerous point,
Before
it
you can
says-
Before you now say that.
Yeah, there's a tendency.
I haven't really gotten to a point where I've mastered that art of knowing
when
to say this thing, but I know I will have to say it. So if I start to see things, sometimes I open gallery. So long.
While the person is there.
While the person is there. Sometimes it's actually someone else. I'm very grateful for people like should I name drop? Some of my friends, when they are like in public with you and you're not there. How is Eunice?
Yeah,
I'm
like
like-
bring up this conversation.
Yeah. There you
Community.
go.
But you always have people that will do that for you,
They
so
won't.
you have to do it yourself.
Exactly. But like you have to do that
Yeah,
by
but I
yourself.
mean that
It
counts
happens,
too.
yeah, it
That
happens.
counts.
You have to do that by yourself. It's actually very important. It spares everybody
Yes.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It spares you, your partner.
Partner
And
even
even
the
the other
person
person,
that-
yes.
But
So
then-
awareness about like
Yeah.
your status,
What's your
Yes.
status?
is very
Yes.
important.
Very important.
Yeah, so you guys just mentioned something about trust, and
Yeah.
I believe that's a very, very important part of like long distance relationships in general, but I mean long distance relationships, because you need to trust that that person, no matter how far, wherever they are keeping put,
Yeah.
And I mean, I can imagine that if you don't have trust in a relationship, it's likely going to have a ripple effect on you, because you won't see the reason to be faithful, because you have a feeling that person, is not faithful.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to make, the relationship end sooner, or later. So how did you guys, as in, how was stress for you guys? What role did you play in your relationship?
Why you go first?
For me, it is a process. It's more of a process for me. And we had to learn, how to trust each other
Yeah.
over these few years.
So
Because
beautiful.
being here was built over time. Being away from each other for so long. I don't know, I think to be honest, I would say God really helped me on my own part
Okay.
to build trust. It wasn't anything I did. I don't think it's anything I did, because I'm naturally a very understanding person. I would say I'm a very understanding
I would
person.
say so too.
And so when I would ask him questions, like, where are you? What are you doing? I'll tell him it's not because I want to police you around or anything. Sometimes it's just for me to be assured that, you're fine, you're not doing anything.
And those things build like,
Yes. Over time, they helped. It got to a time where I don't have to ask him, where are you? What are you doing? He will tell me. And if he doesn't tell me, I'll just assume that, okay, maybe he's busy or anything. I try not to assume a lot, that's another thing, because with assumptions, my mind can just assume anything it wants to assume, and it can be bad.
Yeah.
So with assumptions, I'll rather ask him, and I'll tell him, I'm not asking you because I don't trust you, but for me, assurances help a lot. I like to be. It's like with God, I won't lie to you. I get a lot of assurances from God's word.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I feel like maybe I don't feel this certain way about God's love towards me, I go back to His word and I read about
And
it,
that
and
helps you a lot,
it helps
yeah.
me. So that's what I do with him. I ask him this question. Sometimes I ask him, randomly ask him, why do you actually even love me? Tell me. I've asked him that question so much that no, the one I think I've asked him most is, how did you know it was me?
Oh.
I've asked him that question so many times that there was a day he was upset. He's like, why do you keep asking me this question? He thought that it was me because I was doubting or I didn't trust him. Or I just
needed that.
Yeah.
no, I just
assurance.
like assurances. That's me. And those assurances have helped build the trust. I'm at a stage now that I know.
I trust.
I trust that he's not. I trust that he is. Or I trust that he'll tell me about it. Or I trust I'm there. But it wasn't like that at the beginning.
At the beginning.
It wasn't. So definitely holding on to God and praying about it. He had a thing with talking about or being vulnerable as much. I took it. It's God, please, you have to me because
Because
I've
I know-
talked this
know
word. So literally God, and over time he has learned to talk, because sometimes I would translate he's not telling me stuff to him
equal
hiding.
yeah.
He's being secretive, but
Okay.
it wasn't that he didn't want to tell me what, he just didn't know how to. Do you understand?
Very.
And at those times the trust was very unwavering, it was shaky. Because it would be like, what is he hiding from me? But then I got to understand it's not like he's hiding it from me, he just doesn't know how to say it. So, but he has learned as well that just say it anyhow. That's what I'm telling you. Just say it as it is. Don't try and sugarcoat it because you're afraid of how I'll feel. Just say it as it is.
And it builds something.
And it helps. Because I know that if you're able to be this vulnerable with there's nothing that you won't tell me.
Okay.
I will not think that you're doing something and I don't, or you are telling me half. No, just say it as it is. Saying things like that to him and then him doing them, they've also helped me, trust that while I'm all the way in a foreign place and he's back here, he's doing fine and he's not, you get. It really helped.
Sorry, can I pick some things out of what she said?
Mm-hmm.
So one is the fact that for you to even come out and ask those questions, I think that's something that we can all learn. For example, sometimes I find myself in a place of, let's say, distrust with someone else, and not because that person is doing anything. In fact, not because I don't trust that person, but like you said, you don't want to assume. But I find myself assuming. So I think it's very important that first, for whoever is on the receiving end, like ask those questions. Don't, because there's a tendency for these things to build. He dodged that question. He didn't mention this. And those things are being built up until one time, everything just pours out and it becomes a very big issue. But if when those thoughts come, you throw them out and you ask that, oh, okay, sorry, were you, and that person gives you, it's a platform for that person to respond correctly and build trust. Then you mentioned something about the fact that just say it anyhow.
Just say it.
And I think this can be used in the part where we must understand that like we're not perfect, right? And so there's even in the course of the relationship, there's a tendency that I would do something or that he must have done something that not necessarily had an affair and stuff, but he may have done something that was not right between the context of how you guys wanted things to be, and he may have been scared of telling you that, but him still opening or being vulnerable
Literally just
and saying that thing, he might be scared that he has, maybe falling your hand and all that stuff. But on your own side, it's like, oh, I can trust you more because even though you said,
I'm not even joking.
because even though like you made a mistake, but if you can share this with me, then that builds. Then also like the third part is the fact that he said, assurance is like, there's a tendency to assume that like we said already, I can just be okay. But realizing that person needs to be affirmed and assured about the fact that I love the person. Two, telling the person things that are happening around me. They may sound like, why should I be dissing this person? But they serve as assurances. I shouldn't hear from another person, or I shouldn't hear on an unexpected occasion that there was a girl that was trying to set your pee. You can just tell me, just come and gist me. And it will serve like as an assurance. So I think those are very key things when it comes to trust. Like one, you voicing out. Two, you understand that yes, I'm not perfect, and even my flaws are opportunities for trust. And then just plainly assuring the person even when there is nothing and all that stuff. I think those are some key things.
That's a good one.
I was going to say that second part said we had something happen with us last year, and it helped me build trust even more, because for some people, like you said, we're not perfect, things happen. For you to be able to tell me something that you thought I was going to flip about, and then when you told me, it was like, okay,
thing to now comes in and
I was able to forgive him. It was hard. I was able to forgive him and like, okay, that's fine. But for me, the major thing there was the fact that he was able to tell me. He could have kept it and not say anything, and I'll never because what was my own business? It's what you tell me that I know now. So he could have kept it and said, but then he's telling me sent a great message to me. He said, this person actually still holds me in high esteem. This person actually cares. This person, views me, in a very good way.
Yeah.
Do you get? He would, if he didn't, he would not respect me enough to come tell me about this. So what you literally, that's what I said, you read my mind. So that vulnerability. And I've told him, like, even me, we're not perfect. We're all not perfect. So don't try to sugarcoat anything. Just tell me as it is. We'll find our way around it. We have God. Last. We'll be fine.
That's very important.
So we've learned trust. If anything, we have learned it
trust.
Big time.
That's very
Big time.
important.